Hello, welcome back to Thirst Time. In this episode, I am talking about FKA Twigs' new release, Eusexua. I was just going about doing some housework tonight when I noticed a Spotify video with, I think her name's Imogen Heap, basically held a very long interview with FKA Twigs. In essence, it's basically a notification that her album Eusexua is out, so I was very content to hop along to SoundCloud as I did when Capri Songs was released and be able to find the album there in its splendor, ready for me to play without any paywall or any locking in or purchasing requirements to get straight into it. So I have listened to probably like a 45-minute interview and then a 45-minute album, and here I have arrived now, way past my bedtime, to do this video to talk about how I feel about everything that's happened. As is typical of my videos, I do like to give context before I talk about what I want to talk about. How I came across FKA Twigs, I'd heard about her, I understood that she was on some sort of pedestal, but around, I guess, 2020, 2021, I just thought of someone European that wasn't giving pussy. I'm just like, yeah, whatever, they're just European sophistication, whatevs. Then I think it was like 2022, January 2022, I saw the visuals for the album cover of Capri Songs, and I'm like, this is something new, something fresh, a very different look that had so many elements to it, which was appealing. And it was this infamous FKA Twigs, which is quite a complex artistic name that I'd never really heard of, and I'm like, let's get into it. And as I got to track 3, which was Meta Angel, the beats and the rhythm was all different and new and incredible that I was just like completely wowfied. Hadn't been this wowfied since Arca's Kick 1 in 2020. Not trying to put them on the same pedestal, they're very fantastic each in their own right, but they're again very different artists as well. What I really like about Eusexua is the pussy claps. I don't think her albums like that contain Cellophane and Magdalene were clapping in this way. Before listening to this album, I kind of understood that there was a concept about Eusexua. I really love how FKA Twigs is the epitome of what an artist is. She was at a point in her life, she had some experiences in Prague, which she openly shares and eloquently articulates, that brought this kind of a revelation that she's given a name to and called Eusexua, which I would probably call like a life force. It's about feeling alive, feeling like you're vibing and you're alive. And yeah, like whatever experience she had at that time in her life, she has a whole philosophy and a revelation to express on an artistic level, but at the same time she can back it up on an intellectual level and spend an hour or hours talking to us about what it's all about. She is the epitome of what artistry is, and it's so lovely to have this accessibility to an artist, even though in parts with her in her video in Spotify, she was talking exactly about how important it is to connect with community and people in the real world away from a reflection of the world which we find on the algorithm through the internet, which is exactly how you're finding me now and exactly how I found FKA Twigs. So a bit of a paradox there or a contradiction, but it's totally true as well. And I guess I need to think about what Eusexua is to me. So I'm going to open this video talking about what Eusexua is to me based on what I understand FKA Twigs is talking about. So I would put it down to, I was probably 19, 20. I, funnily enough, was in a long-term relationship, probably 3 years in, and feeling a little bit constrained by conventions and expectations because I do love a traditional man. At the same time, very out of the blue, wasn't planned. I'm just like, I need to go out. I'm going to go out to the club. came across an old friend, like an old acquaintance from a few years ago where we had a really good connection. This, by the way, this connection is the artist of like his probably least valuable piece of work, which he offered to me. Anyway, came across him and I kind of like had to say hey, and then there was not the reaction because he's in his own world, and I was like, hello, it's me, hello. And then he kind of woke up and he's like, hey, and I spent time with him and his girlfriend, and we hung out and just really reconnected and had a very solid connection for many, many years. And just what I absorbed of him was like this kind of freedom to be different. And I feel like FKA Twigs is talking like that. Weird to say, but like I was just walking down the street and I'm like, you know what? I can walk with my hands up like this. I can walk with my hands like that. It really doesn't, I just felt a kind of freedom to be different, unusual, or weird. And this friend of mine was, or is, just the life of the party. He was really inspirational and he was really connected in the people around him and the moment in time. Very family oriented, very unpretentious, very not trying to like piggyback off people or leapfrog over people to some higher purpose or aim. He was completely in the moment and there entertaining us and pushing us forward. I really don't know how else to describe it, but he really was like all of his friends at that period of time were his groupies. He was a fucking rock star. Yeah, I don't know exactly what happened to his life, but wherever and whatever at that point in time, he was a inspirational rock star. So I guess like how that inspiration and that connection made me feel, it awakened, I think, what FK Twigs is referring to as a form of eusexua. Like eusexua is breaking free and it's wild. It's not just animalistic, it is literally this rebellious force that is unconstrained, like an electric volt. You don't know where it's going to go and what it's going to be, but it's just this energy force. And essentially, that is kind of when you're not living by the rules of the day in society. So I kind of feel like this is what FKA Twigs is talking about. But what is super surprising about the album is I've never had this kind of impression of an album since 1998. Let's do the math. That is 27 years ago. That's like 7 sevens. Like when people talk about 7-year cycles, that's 7 years of a cycle. It's like 7 squared. This is giving me the feeling of Ray of Light. Like the song after the opening track, Eusexua, is Girl Feels Good. Just the acoustics is giving Ray of Light, and I'm totally here for it. There's never been an album really since then that I've really communed with on such a level, so loving it. What I'm also getting from the album, and it's because as well complemented by what I've heard FK Twigs talk about, is that she is not for a form of feminism that needs to push the man down to elevate herself or elevate her kind. She sees the beauty and need of masculinity in harmony with femininity and the interplay of the both and the beauty of the both and the fragility of both and the strength of both. I really love how she is completely uncliche, completely not trying to like signal to a well-worn, tirelessly trodden path of, you know, feminism equals like denigrating the man, the oppressor. She's really like, we are in this together, this force and this unifying force. It almost makes me want to be straight because there's a FK Twigs out there. I'm loving that vibe. Like, kind of flash forward to the album, there's this song Room for Fools, and I know she alluded to it containing important lyrics about what the essence of her album is about. And it was about finding community to bleed out the pressure when she was in her raves in Prague. And I love that she kind of felt that, because for somebody else that could have been a completely mundane experience being at that club at that time. But for the sensitivity of an artist, it completely opened a whole new world and vortex that is inspired all of this, and I love that. But Room of Fools kind of says it all. It's kind of like how the artist feels in society. And it's the most interesting song of the album because where it starts off completely uninterestingly, it just evolves into something fascinating and profound. It's a fantastic song. Following on from that is Sticky. So, like, from Room for Fools, I feel like the album transitions, and Sticky actually is my favorite song. I feel like Sticky kind of goes full circle and meets Capri Songs. It's giving this similar kind of vibes and just kind of acknowledging her path. Following on from that, Keep It, Hold It is just glorious. I don't know how else to say it. It's kind of giving a little bit of the Roman remnants from Magdalene, that EP or album. It's very much wizardry, artistry. Following from that is Striptease. It's the kind of song that I know it made me realize this album requires multiple listens, like Madonna's Ray of Light, to really kind of get into the universe and be like alive there and to live. I think a song like Striptease will age really well, but it's complex. And that's kind of it for this video. This album finishes with Wanderlust. She really ties it in. The song is well crafted and you kind of get an essence what it's about on the first listen, but it's, again, thankfully, an album that requires multiple listens. So that's where I'm going to be at, listening again. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoy. Would love to hear what you think of where she's going as an artist, how you feel about the album. So let me know, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.